Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Drinks and Destinations podcast.
Welcome to the Drinks and Destinations podcast. I'm your host Rojita.
I'm Sameera.
And today we are here to talk about something very interesting, which is not just drinks. We're also going to talk about glassware that makes your drink special. How is it possible? Because there are companies who actually make different kinds and styles of glasses that could suit the requirement of your, the kind of alcohol that you're going to serve, or the kind of drinks that you're going to have, or the kind of wines that you're going to be pouring in, for which you also require sometimes decanters. So we'll talk about all that in today's Off the Beaten Track segment. And we also have an interesting chat with the Glen Grant Whiskey's global brand ambassador, Mr. Robin Coupar, who was in town recently for the launch of the whiskey brand, and all that coming up in today's episode.
Hi, I'm Amit Verma, the host of the weekly podcast, The Seen and the Unseen. In my show, I examine the seen effects and the unintended consequences of public policy and private action. I show how policies meant to help the poor often end up hurting the poor. I've done episodes so far on demonetization, GST, surgical strikes, immigration and MRP. And I will continue my forensic assault on the truth in the weeks to come. Catch the show every Monday on iTunes, Stitcher or your favorite podcast app. And go to seenunseen.in for all the latest updates.
Off the beaten track.
Well, Rojita, starting with our Off the Beaten Track section, as we all know, wine in itself is so complex and mysterious, right?
Yes.
The different varieties, how different they can taste over a period of time. Now today, we are taking it a step further. It's not just wine, but it's also the glass that it's served in has so much to do to it, and it changes so much as well.
Sometimes when you go for these tastings, a lot of people ask me, does it really matter what kind of glass you're serving your wine with? Mm-hmm. And some people are like, no, it's too tedious to have different kinds and styles of glasses, and obviously, and a lot of people have no awareness about it.
Right.
So I feel that there are some companies who are doing too many experiments on that front. Companies like Riddle, who come up with different styles of glasses, different thickness, different designs, and the different kind of decanters, and it's just crazy. There is no end to that. But then also there are companies like Lucaris, which has a very regular entry-level wine brand called the glassware brand called Ocean, mm-hmm. which is very popular in India. You'd find it almost every bar or restaurant, even at household parties. You will mm-hmm. find those glasses, which is regularly used. But there is a difference when it comes to thickness of the glasses, when it comes to the design of the glass, how tall or short the stem is going to be for, and how wide is the opening of the glass going to be. So these kind of things are something very intriguing.
I definitely know, it's how we talk about food. When the presentation of food is good, it's more important than how it tastes. Even for wine, I think the same thing goes. If you have a good glass in hand and everything, that's about the presentation. It looks good. But they even say, even the kind of glass you're drinking in, the taste changes. And sometimes people have imagined the same wine to be different, served in a different glass.
Exactly.
Now, how true is that, or is it just complicating the whole thing way too much?
Yeah. So the thing is, there was a very interesting masterclass that took place recently in mm-hmm. Bombay. Mm-hmm. It was done by Lucaris, the wine glass manufacturer from Asia. Right. And they were down in Bombay, and they were conducting a masterclass with Sula. Mm-hmm. So I was invited for that, and we tasted 6 wines from mm-hmm. Sula's regular and Sula Selections portfolio. Mm-hmm. And there was this person, Nelson Chow, who is the chairman of Hong Kong Sommelier Association. He was conducting the masterclass. Mm-hmm. So this basically, there is a collection called Desire Collection, which was designed by Lucaris in association with the Hong Kong Sommelier Association. Mm-hmm. And they have come up with these 6 different styles of glasses, which even the sommeliers think are perfect for different varieties and styles of wines. So that was quite interesting because, they had a flute glass, they had a regular red wine glass, they had a regular white wine glass. There was a glass which was perfect for a wine style like Pinot Noir. There was a glass for a regular, maybe a, dessert wine, you could say. And a regular red wine, which is much more robust and complex in character. Maybe wine like a Syrah, which could be served in different style of glass. So that was quite interesting. So we can talk about all those 6 glasses in detail. Yeah,
absolutely. Because now we need to know that you're not just don't be careful just choosing your wine, but be careful choosing your glass also, because it makes a world's difference.
Yeah. So what we are going to do is we can also leave a picture of all the glasses in our show note in the end. So, our listeners can refer to those glass designs as well.
Absolutely.
So the best part about this design was this technology called Aerlumer. And which I really loved because I have not seen that in a lot of glass designs. What happens is when you see the bottom part of the glass, you hold the glass and look up, you see those rims, cuts in the bottom.
Right.
And they're so beautifully designed, it looks like a whirlpool when you turn it like that. And that's called the Aerlumer technology. And apparently that basically speeds up the oxidation process in the glass for the wine.
Okay.
So when you swirl it, the swirling is much more effective than the regular plain simple glasses.
Oh,
that's something I really liked. And plus the glasses look really pretty.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they're quite nice. So let's just start with the first one.
Okay.
It's called the Robust Red. So what it does is basically it softens the young and full structure red wines.
Okay.
That's the main work of it. And because of the Aerlumer technology that I spoke about, the micro-oxidation actually helps the wines to evolve really well in the glass.
So
is quite interesting.
is this shape particularly, you would say, for red wines is something we should choose, right?
Yeah, so for robust reds, which are high in tannin and which are strong, young wines, so for those wines, that's the particular glass that they should be selecting.
Okay.
So, and the second one, which was my favorite of the evening, it's called the Elegant Red. So this glass had a really flat bottom. Completely flat.
Really?
Yeah, flat bottom, and then it would rise up like that to top, and there was like a opening which was very structured and not really big but medium style.
Those are really uncommon, I would say.
Yes, that's a glass style which is
mini
quite
decanter or something, really flat at the bottom.
Yeah, so that's the wine perfect for Pinot Noir.
Right.
Yeah, glass
The
perfect
glass
for Pinot Noir.
perfect for Pinot Noir.
So that's what I really liked. So there's another one called the Rich White, which is for white wines.
Okay.
So this glass, it's very regular to your normal white wine glass, but this also has the Aerlumer technology in the bottom.
Okay.
Basically, it helps you enjoy your drinking process much more. And obviously, if it's a full-bodied white wine, then this is the perfect glass for that. And especially the white wines which are aged in oak.
Okay.
So, for those, this is a perfect white wine glass they can have.
How are they priced?
They are premium range, so they are quite
premium
expensive.
range,
Yeah,
right.
so they are definitely above the ocean price range.
Ooh.
Yeah, but they are available in India.
They are.
Yeah.
And
So-
in very few places, I would imagine, like Selective.
Yes, they are, but I think most of the high-end retail stores they are available.
Okay.
And you could also buy them on Amazon, if I'm not wrong.
Right. Yeah. So I was just thinking, if you want to gift
Yeah.
someone who's...
I think
it's a
those
great
glasses are
gifting
perfect,
option. Yeah. And something
even
different.
Riddle, for that matter. Riddle as a glass company, they are so
Yeah.
highly innovative, and there are 4. I remember I have a few Riddle glasses at home.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, so there are 4 Riddle glasses of one box of that would cost you around 7 to 8 grand.
Yeah.
So they are quite expensive, those glasses. So it's not,
Right.
people usually don't like to take out those glasses for big gatherings. It
Or
could be a
those
small
rowdy parties, for sure. You
Yeah,
do not
definitely.
want to risk that.
Yeah,
Your
I
heart
know.
would be in your mouth. And especially
Yeah.
Riddle as a company, when I was reading about them, they have so much history of how they evolved. And they came up with the first machine made glass. And then, they moved on to the O glass collection. So they are really, I think if you talk about glass companies, they have a name, they're institution in themselves, I would say.
Of course, yeah, that's true. So when you're talking about these glasses from Lucaris, we spoke about the Rich White, Elegant
Right.
Red and Robust Red. So now the next one is the Crisp White, the whites which are much more younger, fruitier and fresher. For that, the bowl is small.
Okay.
And the freshness of wine and the aroma, it's completely directly comes in contact with the glass there. And it's quite fruit forward in terms of giving you the effect of that particular glass. The wines would always be like that. The fruit is the first thing that you would notice in that. And it's fresh and crispy white wines which are going to be served in that glass. So that's perfect for that. There's another style which is a universal style which fits red and white both. So if you don't want to keep like different varieties of whites and reds in your cupboard, so then you can definitely go for a universal wine glass which is good for red and white both. It's convenient bowl size, provides ease and looks good for any kind of wine to be served in that.
And is the look of this similar to like the more common wine glasses
Yes,
that we
it
see?
does look
I would
much
imagine
more
that.
common. But then this also has the Aerlumer technology which makes it different
I think
from
all
the
their
regular.
glasses have that technology.
The entire Desire collection has the Aerlumer technology.
Okay, wow.
And this is the specialty of that which the Hong Kong Sommelier Association suggested, and that's how they came up with this design. And the last one would be the sparkling wine. So usually you have flute glasses for sparkling wine,
and champagne.
but the flute design that they give is little different from the regular flute wine glasses. This is designed for all body structures of sparkling wine with a slightly bigger bowl than the opening and a long flute shape, and which enhances the retention of bubbles and better bouquet for the wine. And that's how you enjoy it much more.
But isn't it like, wouldn't you want the glass or the flute to be more narrow, or the opening, the top to be more narrow for it to retain the bubbles? Like
Yes.
this they're saying is broader.
Yeah, so what they do is most of the flute glasses, they have a very narrow top.
Yeah.
But what these guys are doing is just keeping the top part a little open so that it allows the air to pass, but still it has concentrated and focused oxygen contact in the glass.
Right.
But the best part is there are a lot of discussions these days when people talk about serving sparkling wines or champagnes actually in regular still white wine glasses, which has also become a big trend. But that works in case of a vintage champagne, like a really old champagne and something which has been very expensive ones, and the champagne which needs to evolve properly, you can serve those in regular still white wine glasses. That's absolutely fine for that. But if you're doing a normal sparkling wine or a prosecco where you want, or cava or something where you want the bubbles to be seen proproperly, then flute is the best glass to offer.
And I think I'm way
especially
too
in India,
conditioned for it.
people would not want to see their champagnes in a regular white wine
champagne,
glass.
definitely champagne and sparkling wine are things like, it's the whole feel, like how we spoke about, like it's also a celebration thing, and it's just like when you see the glass, it just somehow connects. Like I think it's happened for so long that the glass and the champagne is an immediate connect, so it'd be very difficult to have it in the regular wine glass, I feel. But then again, glasses make all the difference. In fact, there have been interesting scientific explanations as to why a shape of a glass influences the whole taste, and I think that's what we've figured out.
Yeah, and the best part is these are all crystal glasses, by the way. They're not they're not glasses, they're crystals. Yeah, so there's a big discussion that's going on.
Steep pricing.
Yeah, so obviously that's one of the reasons why it's expensive.
Yeah.
And so there's a big difference between glass and crystal, and so the biggest difference is thickness.
Right.
A crystal wine glass will always be thinner than a regular wine glass to ensure that a wine lover would be able to enjoy drinking wine to its fullest. That's first. Second is the clarity. So one reason why crystal wine glass is more popular than a regular wine glass is the fact that it's much more clearer than your regular glasses. And clarity of a crystal wine glass is considerably clearer than normal wine glasses, and therefore there's no interruption of discovering colors of a particular wine. So when we go for these tastings where you're judging wines, we always have crystal glasses, not the regular ones, so that the clarity of the wine is much more visible to the taster when we are judging these wines. The next is the weight.
Okay.
So you can distinguish between a crystal wine glass from a normal wine glass when you hold both glasses at the same time, and whichever glass is heavier will always be a crystal glass. So your crystal glasses are much more heavier than your regular wine glasses. And then the sound. So when you do the clink of two glasses, when you're toasting, you would know that the charm of the crystal wine glass is that normal wine glass doesn't have that kind of clink.
I would agree with you.
So that's a beautiful clink that you usually hear when you have that. So these are a few things that could actually make a big difference when you are trying to compare your crystal glass to your regular glass.
And would you say like the crystal makes a difference to the taste and aromas also of your
I think
wine?
so. I like I mean, that if it just feels like the wine
it's
is taken care of more well.
Visually, it's a better experience, I would say, visually. But in terms of taste also, or do you think it's just a mental thing, like we start feeling?
I think it's just that I feel the wine is treated really well in a crystal glass.
It's taken
you
care
can feel
of.
that, you can feel that the wine is very happy about the fact that it's being poured in a crystal glass and a regular
more
glass.
Appreciated, more looked after.
Yeah.
Great. So definitely a crystal glass is a preference.
Yeah. So there are a few tips that I want to share with the listeners about cleaning the glasses. They have these glasses, crystal glasses at home, what you can do.
First tip I would like to give is that don't break these glasses.
Of course, I know.
It's as simple
as that. It would be such a disaster.
It's a heartbreaking process,
So not to break the glasses. The first tip is to always arrange the similar size of wine glasses together to protect a wine glass from colliding with each other. Second would be clean food and lipstick stains before putting into a dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher and if you're washing it with hand, then obviously be careful about that.
Right.
And always put wine glasses at the very top compartment of a dishwasher if you are using a dishwasher. Then height of a dishwasher compartment should match the height of wine glasses so that they can be set firmly during the washing process. And then set the temperature of your dishwasher to low heat and turn on glass friendly mode.
Right.
So that's another tip. Next is, before cleaning wine glasses, make sure your hands are clean and always have towels nearby you. Always clean wine glasses with warm water and not with detergent, because the detergent stain, somehow the smell, it just stays in the glass.
I agree with you.
So I think you can also use a little bit of vinegar while cleaning the glass. Then that different kinds of odors and all the problems the glass might have, it just disappears with that. Then dry wine glasses by putting them upside down on a linen cloth. Steaming wine glasses helps maintain wine glasses clarity. If you have expensive wine glasses, then you could use these technology, and only use microfiber cloth to clean the wine glasses. So obviously the cloth has to be very clean, and microfibers really are very good for that. Use your left hand to hold a wine glass while your right hand does the cleaning. Try not to rotate wine glass because its stem might be damaged. So
true. I think you have to take that much care of your wine glass as well.
That's true.
And you have to, because if you want them to last and be in your cupboard or your cabinets for a long time, I think you should. And they look beautiful.
True. So the general manager of Lucaris Asia, he was here, Silprath Watnakastar. And we spoke to him at the master class. And I also spoke to Mr. Nelson Chow, the chairman of Hong Kong Sommelier Association, about the fact that if their company is also selling Ocean and their company is also selling Lucaris, if people are buying Ocean, why would they buy Lucaris? And why such a huge difference between two glasses? So let's just hear what he has to say about that.
All right, let's go ahead.
Can you tell us what's the purpose of a glass like Ocean when you have something like Lucaris, which is much more premium, and it has different other styles and varieties that you recommended today to us? And as you mentioned that you asked the designers to design a glass which is all-purpose and affordable as well, not too expensive. So where does Ocean stand?
Well, actually, you can say the Ocean being an entry level, mean that if people, they don't want to spend too much in a wine glass, even though Lucaris is really affordable already, but there's still a premium line. And if you're using glassware rather than crystalware, that definitely the cost is much lower. There's more into the entry level. And for purpose-wise, of course, we aim to have the Lucaris glass, particularly the designer, which is really all-purpose, really functioning already. That can really help the wine to perform it best. That's our desire into designing this series of glasses.
Okay, thank you.
So guys, I think like if you're having a casual night at home with a few friends, go for the glassware, and if it's a very special creme de la creme event, then go for crystal.
Yeah, otherwise ocean serves the purpose.
Exactly. So we have something for every occasion, and on that note, let's take a break.
Yeah, and when we come back, we have a very interesting D&D chat.
All right.
Did you know that some termites in Africa have a pleasantly minty flavor?
Did you know that India's largest music festival was in a way conceptualized in Estonia?
Did you know that the awesomest chips in the world are found only inside US prisons?
Hello, I'm Chuck.
I'm Sriket.
And I'm Naren.
And together we are
Simplified,
a podcast that helps you appear smarter to an audience that knows no different.
Or give you some stuff to talk about at parties.
We are ultra-crepidarians.
And if you don't know what that means,
Then tune into Simplified with a B on iTunes, Audioboom, or your favorite podcasting app. Episodes out every fortnight.
D&D Chat.
Welcome back in our D&D chat segment today. We are going to talk about a very interesting whiskey called Glen Grant, the single malt, which was introduced in the Indian market recently, and the brand is imported by Asprey Spirits, the wine and spirits importing company. There was an event that took place in JW Marriott recently, and this was basically a masterclass which was conducted by the global brand ambassador called Mr. Robin Coupar, who was present at the event. And there was a sit-down tasting, and we tasted the 10-year-old and 18-year-old Glen Grant whiskey.
So how has that been? Like, were these most awaited? Is the whiskey world like all shaken up because, they're saying India's gotten the taste of the golden liquid. So is it really the golden liquid?
It is, in fact. I really liked it. It's a very interesting whiskey because the 10-year-old is much more easier and softer and much approachable as a single malt to try out for any single malt lover.
Right.
But the 18-year-old is something which is very exciting because it's much more lighter on the palate and much more interesting as a whiskey. And you won't find a lot of single malts which are made in this style.
Oh, wow. And for, I think, a whiskey-loving nation, this is definitely good news. And they're award-winning too, right? Like the Glen Grant 10-year-old. For the last 5 years, the 10-year-old has won the Best Single Malt Scotch Whiskey 10 years and younger category award in Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a big deal, right?
It is, absolutely. Because Jim Murray is considered as the godfather of whiskey in the world, and when he comes out with a whiskey bible every year, the kind of whiskeys that he lists out in that book is it's kind of really a bible for the whiskey industry. And obviously if they have been listed there for continuously for 5 years, which is a very big deal. I really liked the 10-year-old because that's obviously it's much more easy to drink and much more that's the style which you would regularly like to drink, though the 10-year-old is priced at around 5,000 to 6,000 rupees, and the 18-year-old is around 20,000 to 25,000
that's
rupees.
a whopping amount.
Yeah.
But again, that's
but still, a lot of people actually prefer the 10-year-old, and they also like the 18-year-old, but it's just that it's way too expensive.
Was it the price thing that they preferred? It was generally like the taste also was more preferred.
So basically, talking about the 10-year-old, the color is rich, bright gold. Aroma is sweet, kind of sweet pastry, pear, and vanilla notes, and then the taste is more like orchard fruit and rich malt notes and nuttiness in that, and finish is long and complex.
Right.
Whereas when you talk about the 18-year-old, it's bright gold, but a little lesser brighter than the regular 10-year-old, and it's got very nice floral aroma instead of
nice.
the other fruity aroma. So this one has floral, rich, oaky overtones and hints of baking spices. Right. And it on the palate, it's more like a malty caramel, and it's delicate dried raisins and vanilla notes that you get on the palate.
I would imagine the cigar lovers to like this one, with the ones who sit with their single malts and their cigars. They would definitely prefer this. And again, then talking about the Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible 2017, now the 18-year-old got the Best Single Malt age 16 to 21 year in 2017 award. Again, so these two are like pretty.
Both the whiskies are really, really popular, and they. It's very interesting that they are here in India now.
Right.
So,
who do you see them replacing? Like, whose loyalties were like earlier to what would change to Glen Grant? Would be your prediction.
People who all. It's very interesting to have another Glen in the market because we have too many Glens anyways.
Yeah.
Glenlivet, Glenfiddich, Glenmorangie, and I think a lot of people who are Glenfiddich and Glenlivet fans, they would also like to experiment with this one. Okay. And they would definitely try Glen Grant. And I don't know how many of them would actually get their hands on the 18-year-old because there's a limited allocation. But for a 10-year-old, I'm sure almost all the whiskey lovers should definitely go ahead and try it out.
And the pricing, I would imagine, would make it more accessible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
we have our Indian single malts available at the same rate. So why not,
Why not?
Yeah, try out this as well.
Right.
So we spoke to the global brand ambassador of Gruppo Campari and Robin Coupar, who was there. And I asked him a lot of questions on how exactly the single malt and the Scotch whisky market evolving all over the world. And what's his plan and how does he think India as a whiskey market and what are the future and everything. So let's just hear that.
It's a big whiskey market here in India, and there's lots of things going locally. But Scotch whiskey's always been enjoyed here in India. It's quite established, and you have the low level, the medium level, and you have the deluxe blends. The Johnny Walker Black Labels, Chivas Regal, and for many years that's what people would aspire to. Now, you've got this emergence of single malt Scotch whisky category, which is over 100,000 cases, they tell me, growing at 15-20%, whatever it is, and the gold standard. And I think with the prosperity that's happening in India and the connectivity of Indians, everyone has a smartphone here. People are beginning to learn about, they're wanting to trade up, they're exploring, they're discovering, they're maybe traveling, to other countries. They're going through the duty-free store. The millennials are coming through, and they're all about knowing about what's going on in the world. So I think all these things are kind of coming together, and it's for us as a single malt Scotch whisky brand, this is an interesting time. So we're coming into the market at a good time for us.
So there was a period in last few years when Scotch whisky industry's export market was going down. And has it recovered? Yes,
it recovered. So the latest Scotch Whisky Association numbers tell us that there is a recovery going on. But going back to that point, there was a dip, and I think that was more blended Scotch whisky. Single malts have been growing steadily.
And what's the growth percentage you would say right now?
I don't know globally, but year on year it's growing. I mean, you see distilleries increasing their production. Macallan is building a new distillery. Glenlivet, Glenfiddich,
so there was a time when the distilleries were shutting down, and now suddenly there is a time when people are expanding.
Yeah, people are expanding, and as the demand grows. And that's led to all sorts of challenges for the industry. So some distilleries are running out of old liquid. They are having to blend portions of old liquid with younger liquid and move away from age statements. And the Scotch whisky industry, I mean, we sold whisky on older is better, it's more expensive. There's been a kind of move away from that. The story is now more about flavour, production process, etc. What kind of barrels we use.
And we talk about flavors. There's a very interesting thing that Scotch whisky industry for a very long time believed that we cannot have different other flavors, like your American whiskies or any other whiskies where they add these the honey flavors or caramel flavors to the whiskies. But just last 2 years there have been changes where the big companies are actually introducing Scotch whiskies with flavors.
Well, the only one that I'm aware of that flavors added is Dewar's, that they've tried to kind of imitate. They've tried to kind of follow the bourbon producers. I mean, you have Wild Turkey American Honey.
Yes.
That's actually, I think that was the first bourbon, flavoured bourbon in the market. Jimmy Russell.
And then Jack Daniel with the honey.
Daniels, Tennessee whiskey, Jack Daniels Honey, I think it's called. Here's my take on that. you have honey flavors, and then it's cinnamon flavors, and then it's apple flavors. You know, these flavors come and go, and I think, you know, there's a bit of, it's quite fickle, you know. I think, you know, flavors kind of, it's like flavored vodka, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it's going to be around forever. What I do think is that straight American whiskey, you know, bourbon, rye whiskey is getting really popular. It's having a big comeback now. And, you know, single malt Scotch whiskey. Then you've got your international whiskies, you know, Amrats here in India. You have the Japanese category, which is going crazy. They're making whiskey.
Canadian whiskies are getting really popular.
Canadian whiskey, you're absolutely right. I mean, Canadian whiskey...
And whiskies from Taiwan.
Cavalan, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the consumer now doesn't really care, you know, where whiskey comes from. They want to discover new whiskies. And, you know, for them it's kind of like social currency. It's like, it's not what it used to be, oh, you know, I drink, you know, Chivas Regal 18 years old. Now it's, you know, I drink single malt, but I, you know, come to my house, open my cabinet, voila, and there's about 20 whiskies there. You know, it's, people love knowledge. They get excited about what they know, and they like to, sometimes they're looking for whiskies that, you know, the mainstream doesn't know about. You know, Glen Grant's a great example of that. You know, it's not ubiquitous. We don't sell Glen Grant everywhere. It's very selective. So, you know, there's an excitement for, you know, new things, new products that come into the market.
And how many countries are you available right now?
We are sort of seeding, if you like. We have some established markets. You know, Italy is a big market always has been for Glen Grant. France, Germany, the United Kingdom. You know, North America is a big market. Then you have the Asian markets. You know, Japan's an important market. Australia is quite an important market. Then you have the Singapores, Hong Kongs, Taiwan. You know, Taiwan is huge. You know, huge market. And now in India. So you know, the future looks really, you know, interesting for us.
And what is the growth percentage for your company?
Well, Campari have a policy. We are not allowed to speak about, you know, specific numbers, but Glen Grant has had a good year. Last 2016, we relaunched the new package. We put new whiskies like the 12 years old that is available in the duty free and in North America. Of course, the 18 years old. We're not going to get rid of the 10 years old. Will be available. That would be taking your prize racehorse out to the yard and shooting it. You know, we can't. You know, people like Glen Grant 10 years old. So we're growing in double digits, and you know, I think, you know, for us is we're going to manage our stock the right way. We're going to make sure that we sell it in the right place, the right people, at the right price. So we have to be very selective. We don't have, it's like turning on a tap, you know.
And what's the volume right now? If you talk about volume.
Specifically, again, I mean, we're in the top 10 in terms of volume.
Okay.
So where we are in the top 10, we're not number one, but we're around about, you know, I guess the bottom half of the top 10. But you know, we're growing faster than the category in most of our markets.
So would you say that you are one of the few companies who are growing double digit right now in Scotland?
I'm not privy to the information, so I wouldn't like to say, but you know, we're enjoying some strong growth, but we're growing from a small base. You know, Glen Grant, the connoisseurs will know Glen Grant, but you know, when the distillery was sold in the 1960s to Seagram, they already had Glenlivet, and that was their big focus. We became the blending malt. We were the Cinderella, you know. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But people have always liked the quality of Glen Grant, you know, the delicacy of the refinement of you know, the soft, gentle taste of Glen Grant. So, you know, Seagram was sold to Pernod Ricard, part of Seagram was sold to Pernod Ricard. Yeah. They continue to, you know, focus on Glenlivet. But you know, in the last 10 years, we've been owned by the Italian company Gruppo Campari, who, you know, have now invested behind the brand. So they built, you know, the new bottling hall. You know, we've now relaunched the brand. That takes a bit of effort. You know, we are getting back into the game.
Yeah. And I just recently read that Campari has performed really well in this financial year.
Yeah.
It's one of the best performing brands right now from...
Well, one of the companies, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're seeing, Aperol, which, has been served.
Which is doing really well.
Yeah, Aperol, I mean, and Aperol is like, I was in a bar in New York City, and this doesn't happen to me, but I ordered an Aperol Spritz, and there was a group of people who had just come in the bar, and I could see them, they went, what's that? And they said, oh, well, it's Aperol Spritz, they make it with Prosecco, Aperol, and some, what they call club soda, ice, and a slice of, we'll have that. So, the colour is attractive. And it's also very sessionable. Yeah. You can drink a lot of it. It's quite a nice alternative to beer, actually. It's not high in alcohol, and it's it's got this beautiful colour, and it's got this interesting taste, and it's very refreshing.
Quite refreshing, yeah.
So that's growing. We also are strong in the bitters. Mm-hmm. So the Amaros, Averna, Braulio, Chinar, which is made of artichoke, and we've done. Campari has done a good job to. Have a balanced portfolio. So we have Sky Vodka, we have Appleton Rum. We acquired Grand Marnier, which made a big change.
Brilliant brand.
And then recently it was only a couple of weeks ago, we announced that the acquisition of Bulldog Gin. So gin is having a revival as well, and Bulldog's a fantastic gin.
Is it the same in Europe? Because I read somewhere that the gin market in Europe has reached a saturation point, but everywhere else it might be reviving?
Well, I was in the UK last week. People are drinking gin.
Still drinking gin.
I have friends of mine who I never drank gin when I lived in Scotland, and now they're drinking gin. It's gin. I mean, and there's some lovely gins. But you just take a step back, look at Europe. I mean, Spain. Look at Spain. I mean, Spain is. They used to drink a lot of whiskey with Coca-Cola. Now they're drinking gin. So,
but haven't they been drinking gin for a long time with a goblet glass and different style of drinking gin and tonic?
But I think this gin has been growing in Spain. Bulldog's, a big brand, it's well known in Spain. So, gin's an interesting category. I mean, it's showing some growth in certain sectors. I'm not a gin expert, but I read Just Drinks, and I read some of these interesting articles.
So, when given a really busy, rough day, which is the drink that you would prefer when you come back home in the evening? And how would you like to drink it? Well,
I'm one of these kind of Scotch whiskey. I like bourbon as well. I love, Russell's Reserve, which is made at Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey is a Campari oak brand. I know that. I love the taste of Wild Turkey because it's spicy, it's bold. I know how it's made. It's made of non-GMO cereals. We distill at low proof to keep the flavour in. We don't distill really high like some of them do. We also age our bourbon in timber rickhouses and barrels that charred to number 4 char, alligator char. We make our bourbon in the right way. Jimmy Russell, the longest serving distiller anyway, he started in 1954. The only person that actually works the same job, the same amount of time as Her Majesty the Queen. So the Queen and Jimmy Russell, have got quite a lot in common, So, I like bourbon, I like rye whiskey, I like Scotch whiskey. I'm partial to a glass of wine. In fact, I'll probably have a glass of wine on the flight in a couple of hours.
Okay.
So beer, I like a beer as well. I like sort of Asian style beers, but Scotch whiskey, bourbon, my drink of choice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was the interview with Mr. Robin Coupar, and he shared quite a lot of interesting, things that's going on in the Scotch whisky industry and the single malts in general and how they're performing in different markets and how Gruppo Campari as a company is gearing up to launch another interesting brand in India, the Bulldog Gin brand.
Wow. Well, that's exciting. Always new kids on the block are coming up and so much to look forward to. So that's all for today, guys. You can tune into the Drinks and Destinations podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audioboom, or any other podcast app. You can also download the IVM Podcast app on iOS or Android. You can also give us your reviews and suggestions on drinksanddestinations@gmail.com. And remember, while we all love our tipple, make sure that you drink responsibly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out IVM Podcasts to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.